Hello and welcome to the Arsenal BiteSize Podcast ahead of the North London derby tomorrow. I'm, of course, FPL Nima and I'm joined by my co-host Clayton. It's a very exciting episode. How you doing, mate? Your nerves starting to get to you?
Yeah, nerves settled. Not settled, sorry, nerves started. And they started once we went on above average FPL on Wednesday. Obviously, two Spurs fans in Adam and Baker. Yeah, I am so nervous. I think this game just means so much. And I'm looking forward to kind of dissecting it, trying to talk logically and rationally. But it just means so much as a fan. And like, it's the bragging rights. Obviously, the season won't be determined or dictated by tomorrow's result, but it means so much. And I think it is a good opportunity to kind of put a statement out there. And obviously, everyone's got the opinions on the opposing styles, what's more effective, this, that. I just think tomorrow, the world's watching. Like you said the other day, expect a thriller, but let's have a thriller where we fucking put them to bed and like assert our dominance. But yeah, nerves though, very nervous. How about you?
Yeah, I'm very nervous too. Obviously, my first Emirates North London
Yeah,
derby. So very excited to get to the match. I feel like it's one of those games where I think I'd rather watch it at the stadium than at home because when I watch it at home, I'm like pacing up and down the living room. I know some people I've read online, they like in the last few minutes of injury time, they just stop watching and they like
yeah, just
update
turn it, get out of the room.
livescore.com.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're like updating it to see full time show up. Honestly, it's such a stressful game. Obviously, we had a great game against them last year at the Emirates, so hoping for a repeat of that. I want us to get out the blocks quick and assert ourselves like we did against Brentford. I think that was one of our best performances in terms of how convincing it was.
yeah,
Also, Brentford did play a back three against us, so I think in a way that could be a
yeah. Good
blueprint
point.
of how we're going to play. So I'm really excited
Good
to
shout.
see if we can take what we did in that match into this game. In terms of the picture, the thumbnail, obviously I love it. Just a throwback
I,
to last season.
it was a throwback to last season, but also obviously, unfortunately, Smith Rowe. I say unfortunately, I think it's probably good for him. Obviously, he's having his groin surgery to kind of try and put that to bed. He'll be out for 2 months, but I think it's one of those you kind of take a hit now, like lose him, but hopefully fix the problem sustainably long term. So I thought the picture was brilliant. It's just, yeah, like you said, it throwback to last season, but also a little nod to Smith Rowe as well. And what you said about hoping it'll be similar to last season's game and result at home, I think it will be. Like we'll get into it, but that's my prediction. Not the score. We'll get into score predictions, but performance. I think we're going to shock a few tomorrow. I
And I
really
think
think
the
we're going
whole
to shock.
world will be watching, like you say. So obviously, there's been a 2 week break from Premier League football. It's the first game back. It's televised. Everyone is going to be there waiting to see how this match goes and to continue the narrative of Arsenal fell at their first real test.
Yeah, I
So I'm
feel
sure there's
like
going to be a lot of those out there waiting for us to slip up, aren't there?
yeah, I feel like on Wednesday I was like very uh rational, very measured, and like I'd like to think I will be in this, but I've got opinions that I kind of held back a little bit. I think on Wednesday without realizing until we left, and I am going to set myself up for a lot of sound bites today. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I think we did quite well. You know, two Spurs fans against two Arsenal fans. I think both sides gave each other respect, which is always nice to see.
Yeah,
There was obviously the score prediction from Baker of 4-2, which I wonder what he
I want
was
to see the odds on
drinking.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, I want to
that's
see what he was
mint.
drinking. I hope he puts money on that because I don't know how you can predict that and not put money on it.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, in terms of the game and the lineup, I guess that's a really good place to start, like what we're
yep,
predicting in terms of who's going to be the personnel on the pitch. So for the podcast listeners starting from the back, we have Ramsdale predicted in goal, White, Saliba, Gabriel, and Zinchenko actually over Tierney. So we'll talk more about that decision. Party, Odegaard, Xhaka, and then Saka, Jesus, and Martinelli. That's kind of our combined starting 11. I know we both had doubts about whether it's Zinchenko or Tierney. So I don't know if we want to maybe start there just on that debate.
yeah. I think like we said the other day, Tierney really gave Arteta a bit of a headache. He came in, did really well against Brentford after struggling against Fulham. And yeah, I just think he gave him a bit of a headache. But I just think with how we're evolving as a team, and especially at home, a lot of people, you touched on it the other day, a lot of people are like, oh, should we just go with a back three to kind of nullify Spurs? And I think we've moved beyond that now. I think Arteta is going to, like, we've got our blueprint, regardless of who the opposition is. We are going toe to toe with teams now. And I think we're going to go and stamp our authority on games. And I think what Zinchenko gives us, obviously Tierney and Zinchenko both have different strengths and like they fit the system really well. But I think what Zinchenko gives us in possession is what we're going to look to take to Tottenham tomorrow and try and suffocate them and really pin them back. And yeah, we'll come into like tactical matchups in a bit. But yeah, I just that's why I think we might go Zinchenko. The logic there is just the kind of technical security that he brings and the link up in the final third as well, which sounds mad talking about a left back.
Yeah, well, am I right in thinking that was it last season or maybe I've got this wrong, but there was a game where Tomiyasu played left back, and I think it
That was
was to
against
nullify.
Leeds
Was it against Leeds to nullify
for
Rafinha?
Rafinha.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, because I'm thinking to myself like, is there a world in which we could see that? But maybe not. Because yeah, there's been a lot of debate, I guess, from a fitness point of view and the presses and stuff. Both managers, Conte and Arteta, have been very coy.
very.
Yeah, they're both kind of keeping it to themselves, cards close to their chest. Because obviously we know White. There was all this rumored stuff about how he's got, managing this ongoing injury, but then he played against Brentford, so he didn't get into the England team. Some guys were saying it was because he was injured, but then he wasn't injured, right? Because he played, and like I know
Yeah,
maybe he's managing something. I had read something that perhaps the demands of him playing this new fullback role are
yeah,
taking a lot of time and toll on his body. So I don't know if you've seen, but I'm sure there's a few games where he has been subbed early.
yeah,
And he's missed training sometimes, right? It's almost like he's being given an extra day off and stuff and subbed earlier. So maybe it's just not that he's necessarily got an injury, like maybe he does as well, but it could equally just be that he's kind of growing into the demands of playing this new role that's making him have to work more athletically. So that's something I was thinking about. And then on the Tomiyasu side, obviously he pulled out of the international team for club reasons and was brought back early. So part of me was kind of thinking, is that because White is injured? So like, would Tomiyasu start, or is Tomiyasu just being brought back because like we're very smart and we know we got 9
you're
games and
proper overthinking this, I think.
yeah. So I
You
don't
see
think
your mind
Tomiyasu will
map
start.
play.
Yeah. So I don't think Tomiyasu will start. I do think it's just us being a bit more cutthroat.
Yeah,
And
I think
as a
so.
club, we're doing like we're not quite going full Ferguson where he just didn't let them go on international break at all, but we are asking them all to come back, right? So like Tierney, he came off himself with a head injury.
Party.
It was meant to be a precaution. He got sent home early. Party pulled up with a bit of a knock in the warm up of the first game, got sent home early. So everyone got sent home early. So I definitely think maybe we're just like preparing for this really intense and congested period, and
I think
we're
so.
kind of
Yeah.
ensuring that we don't make any mistakes there. In terms of Tierney and Zinchenko, so I think just to touch on what you said, so he's definitely given Arteta a headache. I do feel that like in a match like this, like Tierney would be great on the 1v1 defending, but then if they're playing a back three, part of me is kind of like, do we need that? Like,
Yeah.
we'd rather just keep dominating the game, and like they're gonna let us have the ball, so we probably want to just push into their half, play like we did against Brentford and United, play very front-footed, and then we've got like Saliba with the recovery run, right? Like,
And Gabriel.
do we do?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So do we need to squeeze in Tierney just for another recovery runner? I don't think so.
Yeah.
So I think Zinchenko gives us more creatively, and it's going to be tough to break them down. So one of the things we saw that obviously the above average boys mentioned was that Spurs have conceded the least big chances this season. I think it's like 6.
Yeah.
So, they don't really concede big chances, and we're going to have to be very clinical and execute. So I feel much more confident with Zinchenko there and his kind of triangle with Xhaka and Martinelli for us to be able to find that space and get in behind that back line somehow.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly it. Like Tottenham are very well drilled defensively. Like you said, they don't give up high quality chances. And thinking solution wise to that, what I said the other day was I think that's where you rely on a lot of quick interchanges, technical dominance in the final third. And it's not like there's going to be lots of space for Odegaard to pick out a killer pass. It's not going to be like that at all. It's going to be one of our strengths now, which we didn't have last season, is those quick interchanges to break down low blocks. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes tomorrow, to be honest, because although like if you feel like we're done with our lineup, it'll be good to discuss Spurs' one, because obviously there's rumours about Kulusevski, and what I was just going to get onto was we were talking the other day about them playing like their 5-2-3, right? And if Kulusevski is out, I think they might go for a midfield 3, which kind of changes the dynamics. So yeah, this is their lineup against Leicester. Do you want to read it out for the podcast?
Yeah, so they had Lloris in goal, who also in today's presser, it was kind of like, we'll see how it goes in training today.
So what did he? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he said that he said Lloris, because they originally earlier in the week, Conte had said a few players have physical problems. We're hoping they'll get through. Today, he specifically said about Lloris, like he is one of the players with a physical problem. And then he was like, we're going to do a test. We'll see how training goes. And he was like, I hope we see him on Saturday. So he's being very coy, but we could very well see Fraser Forster start in goal, who loves the game at the Emirates.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's not ideal. In the back line, they had Sanchez, Dyer, Lenglet, that Perisic and Sessegnon as the wing backs, which doesn't happen often, obviously. Normally, Emerson's there. Bentancur, Højbjerg, Kulusevski, Richarlison, and Kane up top. See, Son came off the bench and got a hat-trick. I imagine in a game like this, Son will definitely start.
So their predicted lineup on Wednesday was pretty much the same. I think it was Romero in for Sanchez, Perisic left wing back instead of Sessegnon, and then Emerson Royal in at right wing back to obviously nullify Martinelli, or try to. But then what has kind of thrown like you said, Son in for Richarlison as well. But what's kind of thrown this a little bit out into the open now is Kulusevski supposedly had a knock, which Conte wouldn't really talk much about. And a few fans have said, okay, it's either going to be Richarlison comes straight in for Kulusevski and they stick with that kind of tried and tested formation that they're good at, or tweak the formation and have Basuma come in. And I don't know who would play in the wingback role in that instance. But
so I think it might be like a 3-5-2, right? Like with Kane and Son up top, and that's
exactly. And if that is the case, like, because one of the, how do I say this? I feel quite confident tomorrow if they play the 5-2-3 that we will completely kill them in midfield. Like, I think they will not be able to cope with the overloads. And like where last season we've done it to death, we had to rely on that right-hand channel, and like the relationships in the right-hand channel was brilliant. What we've now got is that relationship, but all over the pitch. So I think we can dominate periods in the middle against the midfield too, and have fun with them. And then just if it's getting congested there, like move out to the wide areas and overload on that side. And I think we've got so much variety to how we can kill teams now. But if they do have the midfield three, that kind of takes away one of our strengths, which is kind of dominating the middle with Xhaka, Partey and Odegaard. But I'd like to think we've got enough to hurt them in other areas, to be honest.
Yeah, so the other thing that they talked about was that Lenglet could make way as well for Davies. Just to like protect that side. Because I think we might see like Emerson obviously on the right wing back, and then see Perisic back at left wing back. And I think one of the matchups that we discussed just looking at these two lineups was the idea that because Perisic will be looking to kind of get so far forward, it does kind of leave them exposed for Martinelli to get into that space left by Perisic going up.
Pockets,
yeah. And then that would obviously allow him to then get the ball into Jesus. So they were thinking maybe if that was the case, Davies would be there. If Basuma comes in and it's a 3-5-2, I think that'll be a bit more difficult. That'll be much harder to break down. Hopefully they just stick to this kind of formation with the two midfielders. Bentancur and Højbjerg, like they are definitely the weakest part of Spurs build-up. I think one of the things I was just going to say is like they almost never play through the middle. So like as soon as they get the ball, they're just looking wide, right? So, and that again, that kind of goes back to our wing back situation too, where if Zinchenko is kind of playing as a playmaker and he's not really there at the left back role in possession, what happens when we're out of possession if they're doing a quick transition or counter? That can be a situation where they're also originally their thinking was that someone like Kulusevski would get into the space left by Zinchenko, and then he would get it to Kane. So in a way, I'm happy Kulusevski's out. We obviously saw how well he did in the North London derby.
Really good player. Yeah,
like he's a great player, great young player, great talent. It's a good thing he's an Arsenal fan, so I'm glad he admitted that. So is Doherty. Everyone's an Arsenal fan. We know that.
Doherty sold his soul to like do absolutely nothing for that club, which is like state of him, man. Do you see that when he was like deleting all of his old tweets? Guy sold his soul and played like 10 times for them. What a plonker!
What a plonker indeed. So I think this is going to be an interesting game. I guess just in terms of the play styles, I think that's worth touching on. So as you say, I feel like this is going to be like two completely polar opposite styles of football that are currently getting like very similar underlying numbers, like the expected kind of cumulative goals over the last period, the numbers defensively. Like we've been a bit better defensively, but they've been top 4, top 5 defensively, just like we have.
Yeah.
Attacking wise, they've still been good despite not really creating. Obviously, they have world class clinical forwards. So they're very different styles of football. And what I want to see us learn from is what happened at United. I think
Yeah.
we were too
Exactly.
front-footed, if that's the thing. Like it's
So
almost like we were desperate to prove to the world, like that we are now turning this corner. We are a great
yeah,
team.
the frustration of that game was like I can't remember specifically what time the goals happened and the subs, but we were doing fine. And I think if we just kept playing as we were, I think we would have got the goals that we needed. But like you said, it was like we kind of lost our rationale. I mean, like you said, we had to go and show the world, and I think we just kind of lost that. And that is, I think, an age thing, the maturity of this team, which will come. And like you say, hopefully we've learned from that. But one thing I just want to touch on for Tottenham, obviously, their whole game plan, they will willingly let us have the ball, right? Like we know that. But what we said about against Man United, they willingly let us have the ball, but more than I think they wanted us to. And in areas they did not want us to be there as often. And I think it will be like that tomorrow. Tottenham will let us have the ball, but I don't think people realise just how good this Arsenal team are in tight spaces. Like we are very, 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 very good in tight spaces now as a team. And I think that's where will cause people a few surprises tomorrow. And also, both of their formations, 3-5-2, they're losing an attacker, right? So Tottenham are like defense first. If they go 3-5-2, they're losing an attacker. That's one less attacking transition, but not attacking transition. It's one less attacking player for us to worry about. Like, so if they're going 3-5-2, I think they are coming for a draw, best case scenario.
Mm.
If they play that 5-2-3, yeah, then I think that is where, okay, yeah, they're always defense first, but they will know that they can hurt us on the counter. And I don't doubt that they can do that. But with the 3-5-2, I think the mindset shifts completely, to be honest, because none of that, if you're sacrificing a Kulusevski or a Richarlison, who's the progressive passers in that team? They don't
Yeah,
have
it's
one
true.
other
Like
than
if they
Kul.
sacrifice Richarlison and just play Kane and Son up top, then they're very much reserving their chance creation to just the counter. And I think
Yeah,
you are right about United. They did also let us have the ball, but no one can tell me in their right mind that Ten Hag would have been happy with the amount of chances they conceded. Like, it's one thing, like Spurs will give people the ball, but then that's why they also don't concede big chances. They give you the ball,
exactly.
but
Yeah,
you don't create. With United, we had 16 shots. Like, I don't think Spurs will allow 16 shots while giving you possession. Like, I think they're much better defensively than United are. So that's the one thing to bear in mind. But in
I
terms of tight spaces, that's a really good point you made, actually. I think that's a key point. I think hopefully we can shock the world tomorrow, because to break them down, we're going to have to be technically elite. And this
yeah,
squad, their
we
technical
are.
ceiling has raised. Yeah, they
Yeah,
have massively raised.
yeah, and I just think the other thing as well, like you know what we said about last season, you had to have with Lacazette in the team, moves had to be perfectly curated to get through and stuff. We have got that chaos factor now against deep blocks. You need that. Like, remember the Chelsea game last year? Like, there's been a few goals this season where they aren't perfectly created goals, but it's just sheer wave after wave of being in the right areas. And I feel like I always talk about outcomes versus performance, right? That Man United game was fine margins, but that narrative has shaped something entirely different. Tottenham against Chelsea were lucky to, like, fair play, they got the point, but they were bloody lucky. And you won't find a Spurs fan that disagrees with that, a rational Spurs
I
fan
think they
anyway.
had like 2 shots or something and scored
Yeah,
an
and
equalizer. Yeah.
Chelsea, who have been in a rough patch, they absolutely schooled Tottenham that game. And on another day, if you roll the dice, like you know me, I love probability. If you roll the dice 100 times, Chelsea win that 80, 90 times.
And you got
And
to
I
think, if we can play the same way,
exactly,
we have much more clinical and productive front line, right? Like, I'd say this season, we're much more creative than Chelsea are, right? Like, one of Chelsea's biggest problems is creating. And when Reece James is out, they lose one of their biggest creators. So, like,
yeah.
their front line struggles, right? Havertz is struggling to score. So, like, I do definitely agree. I think we will hopefully surprise everyone who's watching, because I do think our team have what it takes. And at home, with the fans behind them, there's no chance they're going to play um, a different style of football to accommodate
No,
Spurs, as you say. Like,
not at
there's
all.
just no chance. Like,
We've moved
because just
beyond that.
imagine the energy that would be sapped from the crowd. Like, the crowd's there, like huge atmosphere, and then we sit back to give them the ball. Like, it's just not going to happen. I
That's
think
the
it's
thing.
going to be like Brentford, right? We're going to go straight out the blocks and try to
Yeah.
get the goal.
And that's what I genuinely think it will be similar to last season's North London derby at the Emirates. I really do. And also, I know Tottenham are effective, but I don't know how people sit and watch that. I really don't. Like, and okay, it is effective. They've got points on the board. Like, they're only 1 point behind us, and they've had marginally. Well, let's not do fixtures again. But I don't think where we want to get to and where Tottenham want to get to, I think, are two different places. I think the ceiling of how they play is top four. I think that's the absolute ceiling, personally. Whereas for us, I do think we can go beyond that. I really do. I think the style of football we play will accumulate so many points over the season. I really do. And I think, sound bites, I think Tottenham are going to be in for a shock tomorrow. I really do. I think that
Well,
they're
on
going
that
to,
note, on
yeah,
that note, let's look at some stats. So from
good shout.
FPL Lens, so he's obviously got his net XG metric. He's also put some interesting stuff here around chances. So he'd obviously said we've created the most chances from the center, 34, from Jesus, Xhaka,
Interesting.
and
Okay.
Odegaard. And they've equally have the second most chances created from the center, 32. Kane plus the inverted wings. So we are the top two teams from creating for the center. With that in mind, I'm very confident with Saliba, as I said, being the recovery runner to prevent those counters. I think Partey being fit in starting is going to be vital to this game. In terms of the matchup, so one of the things that Mariner looks at on our show, Net That Hall, is he looks at like zonal matchups, and like in a given week, he'll be like, is the left center or right wing where the opponent team concedes the most chances. And this week, what he saw, which matches this most chances created from the center stat, is that he actually saw that Jesus, essentially, or like the center of Arsenal, had what he called a 5.2. So, and that is like a huge positive. Like, you don't see that often in a season, to the extent he has to double check like 4 times that the data came out right. So from his perspective,
would you mind explaining that for the listeners?
Yeah, so like I'll send the link after as well in the follow-up tweet, because there's a whole like video of what net XG is, because complicated. This is just the zonal matchup, and essentially saying that we're going to create 5.2 chances from the center in that one game alone. So from our central zone up, like there are other teams this week where they might create 2 central chances this week. So it always ranges from like 1 to 5. Like no one really cracks 5. Like it's very rare. Like you see, even Haaland most weeks will not crack 5. So for us to have that, it A, means we create a lot through the center, and B, that the models of like the opponent's numbers underlying and our attacking underlying numbers,
that's where it matches
really favor us. Yeah. So I definitely
that's a
still
cool
think,
way of analyzing, because that when I watch football, that's how I try and do it, like matchups and stuff. So to see statistics behind that, I'd love to look into that more. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, so I think maybe next time I'll even maybe just put the zonal screenshot in, because it's really interesting. And then in terms of I guess just to add to that, the actual net XG number. So this is like a predicted number of goals, essentially, or it's a predicted XG, you could say. So Arsenal's 1.6 and Spurs is 1.53. So they're very similar. Like, I think that's why I'd kind of gone with a 2-2 originally as well as my predicted scoreline, because both teams are expected to get a very similar number of goals, just in very different ways of playing. And then the shots model predicted is always quite interesting to look at. It's kind of the percentage likelihood. So you can see here, like Arsenal scoring 0 goals at 14%. That means that it predicts Spurs have a 14% clean sheet chance. So like just comparing this to like say bookies odds of clean sheet odds, which will probably be higher than 14%. Equally, Spurs scoring 0 goals is 18%. So our clean sheet odds is only 18% to this model. So this is like not the kind of game where either team is expected to get a clean sheet. Like 1 goal seems to be the bare minimum for both. However, once you get to like say 3 goals or 4 goals, that's where Arsenal start to pull away. For 1 and 2 goals, we're quite similar percentages. For the podcast, it's like 28 and 27% for 2 goals for each team. But when you get to 3 goals, it's 17.5% for Arsenal, 14.5% for Spurs. 4 goals, nearly 10% for Arsenal, 7% for Spurs. So again, there's a huge difference there in terms of the score. So from my perspective, like I expect a cagey draw of 2-2, but I think we will dominate. What I'd love to see is us be clinical and make that like a 3-2, which I think was more what you
Yeah.
were looking at, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. This graphic's really interesting because again, like from what I've seen and thought, where we would get joy, like I said, it was the central zone. So seeing the stat of like that's where we've created the most chances and stuff. The one thing that Baker's bloody annoying, he's planted this seed of doubt in my head now, which I can't stop thinking about, and I agree with him. Was how good Son and Kane are at finishing and Ramsdale's positioning, and I think like Spurs aren't going to get many high quality chances, but they don't need many high quality chances. So I think and pray that if Spurs are on the counter, we are on it positionally to nullify that. And Ramsdale is like concentrating for 90 minutes, no mistake. Like he needs to be on it tomorrow because, like Baker said, that Son and Kane they hit the corners. But yeah, I have faith.
Definitely.
I really do have faith.
I'm more confident than I was a few days ago. I really believe in this team of lads. In terms of let's go to the score prediction so far this season. But in the chat, guys, shout out to Mike as well. Good to see you, Mike, helping. He says first goal is so important, and
So
couldn't
true.
agree more. Yeah, it's definitely true.
Like last
Path
season,
is
that just
tuning in.
killed them. Oh, nice one.
Oh
Thanks,
yeah,
Paul.
so I'm Path tuning in from India as well. So good to see you, mate. Thanks for tuning in live. So it's nice to have some of the live viewers. If you're watching this on a video on demand or on podcast as well, like would love to see you guys tune in live sometime and you can get your questions. So on that note, like if you have any questions, guys, in the live chat, try to get them in now while you can, and we'll quickly look at the score predictions and then we'll go straight to your questions. So any questions about North London Derby or just in general, feel free to drop them in the chat while you're here. Obviously, there's been 7 matches played so far. The one we got wrong was United winning. We both got that wrong.
Yeah.
Correct score, obviously, the 3-0 against Brentford. That's the only one I got above yours. So you're only one behind me there on correct score.
No, you got another one correct as well.
Did I?
forgot what the game was.
Yeah, but I think you also got one correct. So I've got 2 correct and you got
yeah.
1. Yeah, that's where it's coming from. Oh, yeah,
Maybe
and drop your predicted scores.
I'll include that going forward, I think, so then we can remember them.
That's a good idea. And drop your predicted scores in the chat as well, guys. So we've both predicted 16 and 15 goals. There's been 17 for us. We've predicted only 3 against us. We've had 7 against us. So what are you feeling then? So I've kind of given a teaser as to what our predicted scores are. Has yours changed since Wednesday?
No, mine's still the same. 3-2 to the Arsenal. And the scoreline indicates a close game. I'm going to keep saying it. I think it's going to be similar to last year. I think we will go flying out of the blocks, like absolutely relentless start. And I think we will get an early goal. And I think we will sort of go potentially 1 or 2 up, and then Spurs will come back into it. But do you remember last year we were 3-0 up and then they scored, and then it was a nervous like final 5-10 minutes. I think it'll be similar to that, to be honest. So 3-2 to the Arsenal. And yourself?
So I'd gone for 2-2 earlier in the week, being like of a disciple of the numbers. But this might be another time for me to go bold like I did against Brentford. I'm starting to feel a bit too confident, I think.
Oh, God.
I think I'm going to go for... The guys in the live chat have said it as well. So Mike and Puff have both gone for 3-1 Arsenal, similar to last season.
Fair play.
That is really calling me out. Shit. Yeah. Let's go for a 3-1. Yeah, I think I'm changing from a 2-2 to a 3-1 Arsenal.
Yeah, bloody hell. How 2 days makes a difference.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with the guys in the chat with their pretty scores. So the final question from Path before we head out then. So he asks Tierney or Zinchenko. So we've obviously predicted Zinchenko for now.
Is that an FPL question or just
yeah, let us... I assume it's not FPL related, but because he is a Gooner. I know some of our listeners are not actually Arsenal fans, they're just FPL players, but do let us know if you're asking who we think starts or who we think should start. But we've both gone for Zinchenko in the predicted lineup Path. So
yeah,
I'll show you.
Here
you go.
The easiest thing is probably just to rewind to. Yeah, we were discussing. I've got the timestamps here, so we started discussing the lineup at 4 minutes in. So if you just rewind to that,
you'll be able to catch our thoughts about that. Yeah, we gave a lot of ideas about like why we think Zinchenko would start, and I do think just to add to that as an extra point is I could see Tierney coming on to kind of hold on to a lead at the end as well. So
yeah, me too.
That's probably something I could see. And then he's also predicted Jesus to get 2 of the goals in the 3-1. So that's a question for you. Sometimes we talk about predicted scorers. So you've gone for 3-2. I've gone for 3-1. We both obviously think there's 3 goals, but who do we think they're coming from?
You're going to like my answer. So I also think Jesus for 2 goals, but I think Gabriel's scoring from a header tomorrow, from a corner. James from Planet FPL did like a really good video analysis of Arsenal set pieces, like both our strengths and weaknesses. And as we all know, statistically, we're one of the best set piece teams around, right? But watching James break it down in where we get our success and how coordinated they are and where certain people run, and if it's Gabriel or Saliba running towards that near post, whoever it is, yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I've gone on a tangent there, but I think we're going to get success from a corner tomorrow. So I'm going Gabriel with a header, Jesus with 2 goals. Not necessarily in that order, but that's where I think.
So I really want Jesus to make a big fuck off statement, like huge statement, and I just want him to celebrate like crazy with the home fans. So I don't think 1 goal for Jesus is enough. So he's definitely again getting 2 of the 3 for me, especially with that central zonal matchup.
Exactly.
Now, who gets the last goal? So obviously in your situation, it's a 3-2. So the last goal is the winner. In my situation, it's not necessarily a winner. But if I had to decide who scored the winner, is there someone you would pick? Because I saw this debate on Twitter. And it's like, who would you pick if you could just like, which player would you want to score the winner in this match?
I know exactly who I want, and it's the most random. I want Big Benny White to score his first goal for the Arsenal. That is so random, but I would love, because he's quite guarded and like I don't know, he comes across like a bit of a clown. I would love to see him just go absolutely mental and get
like imagine 92nd minute Ben White 3-2.
Yeah, like I know it's the most random answer, but I've been wanting him to score his first goal for a while, and I would love that for him. And I remember like Bakary Sagna scored a header in one of the 5-2s, and like he went absolutely mental. And like you get random players like Torreira who go absolutely crazy, and I think Ben White is long overdue a goal for us.
So there's a few in the chat. So we've got Path saying party from a distance. So imagine like a 30, 40 yard screamer off the
finally
crossbar.
going in, hopefully.
that would be pretty epic. I'm not going to lie. I would like to see that too. One of the ones I saw online, it's not my one, but one I think it's worth mentioning because it's quite a cool one, was they were like, they want to see Saliba score so that he can get his North London derby goal and sign the thing.
Yeah.
Let him soak up the atmosphere and the love from the winning goal so that he hurries up and signs his contract in 2027.
That would be brilliant. Oh, I'm so good. God.
So we got Xhaka last goal from Mike Halpin to cement his redemption. It's another good shout.
He does deserve
What were you going to say?
I can't remember. It wasn't important.
All right. No worries. And then we got Blue Danube Joe. I want a Perisic own goal. That would be pretty epic, especially from an FPL point of view, as I don't own him.
Yeah, Mike he's on my bench.
Yeah, your bench is nice. Mike Hubbin, or we bring on a 13-year-old to get the winner.
I love that.
Have you seen, on that note, have you seen, so there's been a lot of talk from Mertesacker, some new interviews came out about like how the academy have responded to seeing Ethan Nawanari come on. So
I've not seen
apparently it sent ripples down the entire academy. Mertesacker said he's been seeing videos of the under 8s, the under 9s. They've all been watching him. They're all going crazy, celebrating like when he subs on. He was like, it's just sent ripples down the entire Hale End, and it's shown like all these kids this new role model of like pathways and how you can break in, and like it's started like a new generation of hunger all the way down to the under 8s. So
that's what we said, right?
That's epic, man. Yeah.
Yeah, you had these idiots saying, "Oh, is it a stunt? This, that." Like we said, it was a strategic move, and that's great to hear. That's brilliant.
So I was really happy to see that, because it's just when you think about our team right now, like you got obviously Arteta, our ex-captain, as manager. You got Per, another ex-captain. He's the youth team manager. You got Wilshere back, baby Wilshere back as under 18 manager. It's just like you got Edu, who's the technical title, ex-Invincible. Like, what's going on? Like we got all these ex-Arsenal players here suddenly.
Do you reckon Arteta's going to get Stuart McFarlane to the team talk tomorrow again?
Oh, that would be good. That was great in All or Nothing last year. Yeah,
I don't know. I
hearing from a real fan, right?
Our boys will be up for it tomorrow.
Yeah,
no
they're
doubt
going to be
about it. And obviously, like,
pumped.
they're going to remember May at their place, right? Like we had our pants pulled down, and like that dictated a lot of pain and where we ended up. So, yeah, tomorrow needs to be a statement, and it's annoying because I do feel confident, and I feel like people will say it's tribal. I do feel like it is backed up by logic when you break it down tactically, but the nerves, I just can't get rid of it. Like, it's not a game I get in this. I'm so fortunate to be able to go consistently to them, but it's not a game that I get really excited to go because I'm such an anxious mess when it's happening. But afterwards, by the way, just to, if there's any listeners, I know Glenn, who listens to us quite a lot, messaged, if if we win, I will be around the Arsenal area like all day. So yeah, let's try and coordinate. I've messaged Angus McPhail. A couple of my mates are going. I know you're going to be there, so hopefully we can.
I've spoken to RJ as well. He's going with his partner, and I told him if I can get the dog sitter sorted, I might stick out for a few drinks as well and not have to rush back. But
yeah, let's try and get a group together. But that's if we win. If we lose, you will not.
If we lose, I'm going straight home.
I am gone.
Yeah, I've gone out of there. In terms of before we go there, let's just take this question. It's not Arsenal related, but it's another derby. Do you have a prediction for the Man City derby? Well, I say Man City derby. That kind of tells you which one I think is going to win.
Well, where is it? Is it at City's ground?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's
Man
home
City,
at City. Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, at the Etihad. Yeah,
2-1 to Man City.
So we got Path 4-1 City, Mike Halpin 3-0
4-1
City.
3-0. Jesus, maybe I do need to captain Howland. I've gone Salah captain at the moment.
Yeah, no. So I'm going for at least 3-0 City.
At least, Jesus.
Yeah, if United score, then I agree with Path, but I could see like either 3-0, I think, or 5-1. Because the way I look at it is that if United score, City will get pissed and score another 2.
I think Ten Hag is a very astute tactical manager, and I think United will lose, but I think he will make it tighter and more of a contest than people think.
He will, but I think I saw some of their attackers are still out injured, so I think their hopes of like counter-attacking goals, they've lost a lot of pace. So Rashford is looking like a doubt for that game. It doesn't sound like Martial is back. I don't know whether it was Sancho or someone else. There's definitely another winger that looks like a bit of a scare.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Maybe not Sancho, it might be Anthony. But basically, it looks like they only have one of their pacey wingers available.
Okay, that changes things then. Because if they're forced to play Ronaldo, that completely changes the style. But I don't think United will be as easy to break down, though.
No, you're right. Like, they might not score as much, but it doesn't mean they'll be easy to break down. Cool. Okay, so thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We managed to crack double-digit concurrent viewers as well by the end. So
nice one.
Really nice to see you all here for Friday lunchtime. If you are at the North London Derby tomorrow, drop us a tweet. If we win, as we said, we'll try to meet up afterwards and have a drink to celebrate. But otherwise, enjoy the end of the week. Good luck for the North London Derby to all of us. Come on, you Gunners.
Let's fucking do this. Let's put them in their place. Up the Arsenal.
Up the Arsenal, indeed. If you found the stream enjoyable, guys, please hit that like button. It really helps us out. And subscribe if you're new. We're just on the way to 100 subscribers, where we'll be able to have a custom channel URL. So we just need 6 more. So send it to your friends, your family. Even if your dog's got a YouTube account at this point, I'm desperate for the 100 subs. So anyone will do. Thank you all. Lovely to see you all. And we will see you for the review on Sunday morning when we look back on this game and talk about it from an eye test and statistics perspective. But
either going to be very hungover or very depressed. So let's see.
One of the two. No in between.
Why not both?
Up the Arsenal, guys. See you soon.
Up the Arsenal.